Perfect. Hey, good morning, everybody. It's Dawn Little with Keller Williams in Newtown. I am with my lender, my fabulous lender, Ian Rimerman from Crosscountry.
Good morning.
And we're sitting here at our coffee bar in our office, and we're drinking our coffee, and we just wanted to come to you to say hello and to kind of give you an update on the 2022 market. It's still early. We're still early in January, and things are starting to, get moving. Because our official spring market starts around February after Super Bowl, middle of February, end of February. So, good morning. How are you?
I'm great. How are you?
Happy New Year.
Happy New Year.
I think this is the first time we've seen each other in the New Year.
I know, right?
Right. And we'll see each other next week because we have a closing next week. So it's going to be awesome. So what are you thinking? What are you thinking about the market and how things look? Because I'm going to be honest with you guys, I'm not sure where the interest rates are right at this moment, which is why I have Ian with me so he can discuss the interest rates and where they are now. Some people think they're going sky high. Some people think that they're still really, really low. So we'll just kind of get an idea of where they are.
Yeah, so probably over the last 30 days, Dawn, interest rates are definitely up. They're up off their lows. The Fed is expected to increase rates about 4 times this year, and the market's reacted in response to that. But they're still not too far from historic lows. We're still well under 4% for a 30-year fixed.
Historic lows meaning?
Like, closer to 3%.
Okay.
So we're probably in the 3.5 to under 4 range. So they're still really good.
Okay.
Just not quite as low as they've been. So I think they'll remain relatively flat for a period of time. It's hard to say.
Okay.
But they're still really low when you look at historically.
Right. So as a lender, when people say, oh, they're going sky high, how high do you think is a high interest rate?
Well, since I've been in this business in 1997, I remember rates were over 8%.
Right.
So when I talk about rates really under 5, to me, that's still low. But we've just gotten accustomed to really, really low interest rates over the past few years.
What, like 2? Yeah.
I
mean, they've been low. They've really been low, and then So
anybody who knows, parents probably bought homes in the 80s when rates were 15%. So,
yes. Yeah, agreed.
So I guess high is all relative.
Right. Because even I bought my house 8 years ago, and I'm at 3.5. That was 8 years ago. So that kind of gives you an idea. Like, they're still there. Like, they're not going sky high. So if anybody tells you that the interest rates are going to be like 5% or 8% and, oh my God, 4%, it's crazy. 4% is relatively still good interest rate,
Absolutely.
Right? Okay, cool. So it's not like, you're going to be like spending outrageous amount of money. I know that the interest rate can impact your, sometimes it can impact your buying power,
Absolutely.
Right? Depending on your purchase price and your mortgage rate, because everything, the interest rate and the principal and the interest and everything and the homeowners, all that is incorporated in it. So it can, raise it a little bit, but there's other ways to help you with that, right? So we can kind of, discuss that. Is there anything that anybody can do to kind of, because what is the biggest misconception about the lending process? Not necessarily with interest rates, that people think that they have to do or have to have, or, oh, I can't buy a house right now because I don't have XYZ.
I'm glad you brought that up. Probably the biggest misconception I hear is twofold. You need 20% down, which you absolutely do not need 20% down. There are programs for veterans that are 0% down, USDA, 3%, 5% down. So there are definitely programs for lower down payment. And you could really get money even as a gift, which a lot of people don't realize.
Right.
So there definitely are some misconceptions out there, and you don't even need a perfect credit score.
Right. No, right, exactly. There's a lot of flexibility depending on the program, right? So, and I know that a lot of my clients will say, well, I don't have 20% down. What do I do? I'm like, well, you don't have to put the 20% down. You can put 10% down or 15% down. Yes, there are some other things that have to incorporate in that if you do put a lower percentage down. But, it's, there's private mortgage insurance, which we won't really get into at this point right now because that's a whole different topic. We could have another discussion on private mortgage insurance with, because it's crazy, right? There's so many things going on. But do you have any, with Cross Country, have any specific programs right now in 2022 that would help buyers anyway?
So other than your traditional conventional, your FHA, probably the most popular program, depending on your income levels, we have a couple affordability programs,
Okay.
which will generally allow you to put less money down, lower mortgage insurance, like you mentioned, and more aggressive interest rates.
Okay.
So that's something where somebody should speak to me about their options to see if they qualify for such a program.
And another big misconception on my end as a realtor is that buyers and I don't mean this in any way whatsoever, is that buyers think that they can start going out looking at houses without having a pre-approval. I always go back to this basic because it's really, really, really extremely important, even now in this market, even though it's not like crazy and houses are flying off the market, it's that you really should have your pre-approval, because if you don't have your pre-approval, then you may find that house that you absolutely love. And I tell my buyers this all the time, is that you may find that house that you absolutely love. And then you're like, all right, I'm going to do this. And then you start talking to Ian. And unfortunately, you may not be able to afford that house for a number of reasons. It could be too high a purchase price depending on your income and on all that, or it could be too high a purchase price because unfortunately the credit score that you thought was a little bit higher than what you thought was not there, or you don't have enough down payment. And there's so many different aspects. So it's really, really important that when I share Ian's information with you, is to contact him and get it started. It's not going to hurt you, because how long do the credit pre-approvals last?
4 months.
4 months. 4 months.
Days.
4 months.
Easily extended too. I mean,
Right.
Look, sometimes you just don't find a house within that period of time. We already have your income. Maybe we refresh some of the documents, but it's easy to extend it.
Right.
And I'm glad you brought up the pre-approval point, because what I like to say to my clients is think of it as your resume to purchase a home.
There you go.
So if I'm a seller and I've got 2 or 3 offers and you haven't been pre-approved, but buyers A and B have, guess what? I'm going to feel comfortable knowing they've got a pre-approval from a reputable lender.
Right.
And that's something they can hang a hat on to negotiate. And that's huge. And even going to your point is, maybe you do qualify for that house, but it's not in your payment comfort zone. That's information you can find out on that initial phone call.
Exactly.
Because you may pre-approve, but you may say that's a couple $100 out of the range.
Right.
Maybe there's some creative things we can do,
Right.
but the information helps you get into the right house, the right area, something you're comfortable with.
Right. And to backtrack on one thing that you said, you brought up a very, very good point, is if you're putting in an offer and there's 2 other people putting in an offer, or 3 other people putting in an offer on a house, or you want to put an offer in, let's put it in that way, I cannot put an offer in without a pre-approval. So you're like, oh my God, I want it, let's put an offer in. Okay, go to Ian. And then you start that process. Takes a couple, maybe like a day, depending on the severity of it and how involved it all is. I get the pre-approval back. I go to submit an offer and it's too late. Or it's like, or it just didn't happen and now you're upset because you can't put an offer in. Because by the time I write the offer and get everything done and send it over. Now, yes, I do my due diligence in the beginning to find out if they're accepting offers in a certain time frame. What is the time frame? When's the settlement date good? Like all this stuff. So I find out all that stuff in the background so that I can explain it to my clients and say, okay, we need to settle by this date. They would really like to settle by this date. Are you comfortable with that? And then you're like, oh no, I can't settle until, 3 months later. Well, then you can't be like it may work. We could put the offer in, but you never know. We'll do my best to try to explain it to the, to the seller that this is, and the seller's agent, that this is what's happening. So I do a lot of stuff in the background that a lot of people, and that's a huge misconception on my end for real estate, is that a lot of buyers and sellers don't think that the real estate agent does anything. And they really they put the sign in the yard and that's all they do. And I could probably have a couple, testimonials to what I do in the background for my clients, and that how I do my research and I call and I do everything I need to do for my clients. And it's, yeah. So I do a lot.
And to your point, being prepared with that pre-approval so that it's, the offer's in time and things like that. People ask me, how early is it too early to get a pre-approval? And
it's never too early.
I don't know if there's a certain time frame, but I've had people contact me a year in advance, and that's okay, because guess what? If you're not ready today, that gives us a ample opportunity to create a game plan so that in 6 months, a year, you're prepared.
Right.
So when you meet with Dawn, you go to look at homes, we've done all the homework ahead of time, whether it's increasing the credit score, maybe it's additional savings if we need it. So I'm always happy to have the conversation. It's never too early to even have an informal discussion, even if we're not ready for the quote-unquote pre-approval.
Because we have a few clients like that now that we're still waiting, right? So unfortunately, they had to go into a temporary situation. And they're hugely qualified, and they already potentially have their mortgage commitment done that I supply early. And, and Ian has this program that he can do kind of like a little bit of a fast track. So you can kind of get it to that point and get all your documents done based on an idea of a house or an idea of a price range or whatever, and get it almost done. So I can submit that with the offer. I had somebody on a listing I have sent me a loan commitment. I was like, this is beautiful. Yeah. Unfortunately, he didn't get the house, which was devastating, but it went to somebody else who was just as qualified. And, that was my seller's decision, not mine, just so you know. That's another misconception. There's so many misconceptions with real estate, is that they think that the listing agent is the one that picks the offer. We have no say in what offer the seller wants to take. The seller gets a list of all the offers, and they're right in line, and then the seller is the one who picks the offer. So just so you guys are well aware of that, so you're not thinking that the listing agent is picking the offers, which is why we need to go in with our best offer possible. We need to put everything in there that you're comfortable with, so we can, work on it. And, working with Ian is a step ahead, so we can get that going, So it's crazy. It's crazy.
It is, but it's a good thing, right?
It's all good, right? It's all good. And, is there anything else on the lending side that you're noticing that's coming up for 2022? Any concerns or?
No major concerns right now. The thing is just being prepared, because there is a lot of documentation. We want to make sure that we're putting you in a situation where you can have a mortgage payment. So just being prepared, being organized with your documentation, providing things promptly to the lender so that we can help you to get approved and get you into the home. So that's probably the most important thing, just being prepared for the process.
Yeah, it's prepared. Being prepared is key.
Home ownership is fantastic. It is the American dream, but it's also a nerve-wracking process. You really want to have somebody like Dawn who you can really trust in the process, and knows their stuff. That's important.
And I appreciate that, and I do my best to make sure I get all my research done, and I research everything, and if I don't know, I ask, and I will let my clients know. I will not tell you I know something when I clearly don't know something. And I've told that to a client already, hey, this offer has this on it, and I'm going to be honest with you, I have no idea what it means. And our mutual friend that we have now, who I'm helping, and he explained it to me, which was fabulous. Yeah, I was like, I just want to let you know, I have no clue what this means. I'm like, I will find out. I said, I know it has to do with taxes, but that's all I know. And he explained it to me because he's in the lending process as well. So he knew exactly what it was. And I was like, thank you. That's awesome. Yeah,
so I've been 24 and a half years in the business. I still learn something all the time.
I know. Same here.
Things change. There's a lot of moving parts, but I learn something new. It seems like every day. It's a cliche, but it's really true.
No, it is true. I do too. Same thing, every day. And it's just, you're like, okay, well, let me check that out so I can do some research. And communication is key in this business, hugely. And time is of the essence. It's another misconception that people think, that are like, oh, I have time. You don't. I mean, you do, but you don't. So it's we have dates, and we have specific dates we have to meet. And, Ian and I are always in communication together, and we are always talking about what's going on and how we can do things. If we run into a little bit of a hurdle, we talk it out. It's never just, leaving it up in the air and figuring out where it lands. It's always trying to figure things out. And sometimes we're even trying to figure things out ahead of time in case something happens. But, it's key is that to get it done, and just, we're always there.
Absolutely.
Always there to guide you guys and figure out what's going on and any questions. And I will tell you that if I don't know and it's a lender question, I will refer you to Ian, and he will, because I don't want to give you the wrong information, so that's why we're always in communication.
Absolutely. And I do the same thing. People have real estate questions for me. I give them the lay opinion as a mortgage professional and say,
you're like, I think that it would be this, right? And I do the same thing.
Double check, right?
Right, which is what I told our client, Jennifer, right? And I said, hey, I'm like, I think it's this, but I really recommend you talk to Ian. Absolutely. Because then she texts me and she's like, all good.
Always
like, Ian knew it. Like, you knew the question and you knew the answer and got it done. And that's just how we work, right? So
there's no such thing as a stupid question. We've heard it. Our parents told it to us. Our teachers told it us, and it's true. It's true. If you don't know the answer, it's a good question. Right?
Exactly. Because if you're afraid to ask, and you try and do something on your own in this type of business, it can be tricky. And working with a realtor protects you. I'm protected by the real estate commission. You're protected by the real estate commission if you have an agreement with me. If you try and do things on your own, you're not protected. So you could have a little bit more trouble or a struggle, we'll say, getting things taken care of or getting things done, because there's so many things in the background that we have to get taken care of. And if sellers don't know what they're doing, or, buyers try and do it on their own, or, it can get tricky. It can get really tricky. And even if a buyer doesn't have an agreement with me, but they want to go through a listing agent to buy the house, and they have a loan and everything, that listing agent's duty is to the seller, not to the buyer. So there's a lot of things. So it is really, really important, and it really is helpful for buyers to have an agent. So I'm always available. I'm always here to talk. I'm always here to listen. I had a client text me last night, hey, can you talk? And I said, absolutely. And she's like, oh, never mind. I don't need it. I'm like, okay. She's like, I'm all over the place. So they're just kind of all over, but it's great. I mean, I'm there. So they know that they can reach out to me, and ask me anything. And they know that they can reach out to Ian as well and ask him anything. And we'll always be there.
Yeah, Sunday through Saturday. He goes, I hate to bother you on the weekend. No, I'm here. Call me. Text me. If I can't respond, I'm going to call you back. That's what we do.
Exactly.
Especially because most people are looking at homes on the weekend.
On the weekends, it's the biggest thing. Yeah. They're like, oh, are you working this weekend? Another big misconception with us. There are a lot of lenders that will not work on a weekend, and you can't get a hold of them. So you're kind of stuck, and you just have to hope for the best. And Ian I work with, and there's another lender I work with as well. We're always on the weekends, and I can say that one of the offers that I was going over with my seller last week, that lender talked to me on a Saturday. That speaks volumes to me. When a lender will talk to me on a weekend, when I'm trying to sell the house and the buyer's agent, I am like, this is amazing. When the lender won't talk to me on a weekend,
says something.
It does say something. Yeah.
Well, sometimes you're on vacation. You have somebody on my team who's going to cover for me, and they know it.
Right.
And so,
because we know you like your vacations. No,
I do like my vacations. I need one. I'm ready.
I need one too. Right, it is freezing right now. I'm not happy. So I'm glad we're in here by the coffee bar, drinking our coffee, because it is very cold outside, and I'm not happy about that. Not one bit. No, so.
One other thing, just reminding me, we were chatting, is about misconception. Is a lot of times buyers will call and say, before talking to you, I paid off my credit cards and closed them all.
Thank you for bringing that up.
Don't close your credit cards.
Oh my God, that I totally forgot about that.
Yeah, it's a big thing, because at least 20% or so of your credit history is based on the length of the credit history. So if you close all these older accounts, it makes your credit history look newer, and it could actually adversely impact your credit score.
Yes.
So that's why you want to talk to me about your credit options before doing those steps, because that's just a complete misconception.
Yeah, because, and correct me if I'm wrong, is that the credit cards, credit bureau credit cards, they look at your credit. If you're at 30% of your max amount. Like if you have like $5,000, but you're at that 30% of that 5,000, they considered it maxed, right?
There's different thresholds. Yeah, generally you want to be definitely below 50%.
Oh, absolutely.
But 30, 40% are sort of the good earmarks. But if you have 90% utilization, meaning 4,000 outstanding on a $5,000 line, that could definitely affect your credit score. Right. You'd almost be better off having 2,000 on two different credit cards at 5,000 versus one at 4. If that makes sense.
That does make sense because like somebody else had told me that you could think of it as your monthly payment for your credit card. If your monthly payment is at a certain monthly payment or below, that means you're kind of okay when you're not maxed out. But if you're at like your minimum payment is like $80, you could be at that point where you're like almost maxed your credit card, or what they consider maxed is your credit card, not necessarily like 100%. You don't have any money left or 50%. So like I have a credit card that's $25 is my minimum payment.
Which indicates it's probably a relatively low balance.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking.
Yeah.
Which it is. I mean, I know it is, but it's my business credit card, so it is kind of low right now.
We use our credit card to get gas. We go to the supermarket. It's convenience. A lot of people just don't deal with cash, or they use their debit card.
I hardly ever deal with cash
it's okay
anymore.
to use your cards, but try to,
make sure you're And if you want to help and you don't have any credit cards, and you want to start building your credit, getting a secured credit card with your bank with a small number, like $500, and then use it for small purchases like that, like going to the grocery store or going to get gas and then paying it. Don't max that out and paying it, because I know having credit cards, we all get in trouble because we're thinking, oh, this is free money. This is great. I'll pay it later. I got myself into this jam a couple of times when I was younger, is that I was like, oh, I'll pay it later. This is great. And then all of a sudden I'm like, shit, I can't pay my credit cards, and I'm like, oh my God, what am I going to do? So I worked really hard to get them down. Now I have credit cards and I'm very, very good at where I'm at. Sometimes Christmas can hit you, the holidays can hit you kind of crazy, but you just get yourself back on track and just keep moving forward. So but that's good. That's good to know. I didn't even think about, yeah. So there's anything else? We're getting on like 20 minutes.
Yeah.
Which is fine with me, but I love sitting here and chatting with you. I learn so much, and then we educate everybody on what we're doing. We're giving you some misconceptions, and, I'd love to talk to you guys. I'm going to put Ian's information in the link below when I post this on YouTube. So you can get in touch with him, and then you can get in touch with me. I would love it if you would subscribe and you would share it with your friends and with your family. And I would really like to help you guys and help anybody that I can, because, there's a lot of misconceptions about realtors as well. There's a ton. We're coming up with a ton of misconceptions on this stuff, right? I know, because this way you can educate. And I one of my goals for 2022 is to start getting myself together, to start building a team or getting into the leadership role so I can help other agents as well. Because in the past month or two, I've come up with a lot of co-op agents, is what we call them, that have not been, communicative, or have not understood some things or whatever. Not saying it's bad, and they were either seasoned agents or new agents. So it's not even like just, oh, new agents, they don't know what they're doing, because I'm working with a newer agent right now and she's fantastic. And another actually one that's been in the business for a year, and he's really good. I would never even known it was only a year. However, there are some that, so I'm working towards that. Great. To educate, and time is the essence, and communication is key, and all that stuff. And don't hand it over. It's not all about the money half the time. It's all about helping your clients and guiding them right, and make it a huge decision. Because I'm going to tell you something. We have an insurance. It's called E&O insurance, errors and omissions, and I don't want to ever use it, which is why I do my part to help you and to help other agents so they don't have to use it, because I'm going to be in compliance all the time.
Absolutely. One way to do things, and that's the right way.
Exactly, and that's what my dad taught me.
Taught you well.
He taught me do the right thing, the right time, and yes, we're all human. Errors will happen. Mistakes happen.
Nobody's perfect.
Right, exactly. But I make sure that everything is done right the first time, and then if it's not and we have to readjust, we readjust. But it's just the way he taught me. You don't, yeah.
And I could probably speak for both of us. I love what I do. I know you
Me
love what you
too.
do. I love helping buyers get into homes when it's an amazing experience.
Yes.
That's why I do this business.
Right.
People at the end of the transition, thank you. You got us into our dream home.
Right.
How fantastic is that feeling?
It is great feeling. And I will go back to one of our clients that we had not last this past August before. They've been in their house for a year now, year and a half. And we're working with them. And we finally walked into the house after seeing, I don't even know how many. And he had his paper in his hand and he threw it down on the counter and he's like, "This is it, let's go." And I was like, it was the best thing ever. And they called Ian right away and we're like, "This is what we're doing. This is the house we're putting the offer in." And to this day, I use their pictures of their house in my marketing because their house is just fantastic. And I don't know if you know who I'm talking about. Do you remember who I know?
I do. We'll talk.
And you know what? They're okay with me always putting things out there. Gina and Paul.
Yes.
Love you guys so much. They're one of my favorite clients. All my clients are my favorite clients. But Gina and Paul are they're really, really, really good people. And they have a fantastic home in Warminster and love them dearly. And they've helped us along the way and they're just great people. So I hope you watch this and I hope you see it.
Yes. Thank you for watching and staying tuned to that.
Yes, I'm so excited. I wish we didn't have to go, but we're just gonna, kind of chill out a little bit at the coffee bar. And thank you guys for watching the whole entire thing because I hope you did. And you know what? I'm gonna put something out there. So if you watch the whole thing, our whole video, what can I say? There's something. What am I gonna? I'm gonna say. Let me know in the comments that you watched the whole thing.
Your favorite part, if you have one.
Favorite part, yeah, and
or something you learned.
Yes.
Just thinking.
Yeah. What else can I say? Trying to think of something. I know I'm being all weird now, but I want to say one word that makes you say I watched the whole entire video because you said the word culture, and that's what we're trying to develop is a whole culture around our business and with our clients and with together. So
I like it. We look forward to the comments.
Yes.
Yes. Happy, healthy New Year. Be safe, everybody.
Bye.
Bye.